Thanks for helping us start on time. It's a joy to always start on time. I know this is the 24th edition of Bliss Catchers, and so next month we are going to have the Gala 25th edition. And for the 24th edition we have two fantastic guests, Freddy and Shyam out here. If I know them well, I can promise you that today's session will be a cracker of a session. But before we get into the session itself, perhaps it's a good idea for me to quickly outline why the Bliss Catchers, what do we do with this series and why we do this series. Of course, the series is dedicated to an inspiration from Joseph Campbell. What he had to say continues to inspire us every step of the way for Vani and me, which is follow your bliss and doors will open where you saw only walls. I was talking to a bunch of managers yesterday, and I was giving them a perspective on leadership. And I leaned on a definition from a great management thinker, Noel Tichy, who says that leadership is the ability to see reality and mobilize the appropriate response. I repeat, leadership is the ability to see reality and mobilize the appropriate response. And this morning while writing my blog, I was reflecting on this definition and I thought, hey, isn't it interesting that leadership in life should actually be the ability to see reality, which is that fact that life is a limited period offer. And therefore, the appropriate response, the most appropriate response to life being a limited period offer should be that we live it fully, happily. So that is the story behind the Bliss Catchers series. The very fact that we have a life that is ebbing away, we are all ticking away towards our respective deaths, and yet we are possibly not choosing to be totally living fully, happily in the moment. And that's why the Bliss Catchers series assumes significance. Every month on the last Saturday at 7 p.m. sharp, we get together here to hear interesting stories, to learn from perspectives of our guests, and to rediscover something within ourselves. Hopefully, the opportunity to lead a better life than we are leading right now. So in a way, if this series invokes soul, provokes thought, and inspires action, then we are doing justice to what we are doing here every month. So thank you once again for joining us. And let me now introduce Freddy and Shyam, my two good friends. Fred and I go back a long way. He used to work at, he did many things. He's an RJ, he's an actor, he's acted in films, he's a theatre producer, director, actor, singer, and a corporate trainer. He specializes in corporate theatre, and he's a very dear friend. I remember he was working at Music World. Am I right here? He was working at Music World somewhere towards the end of the last century. That makes both of us sound very old. Okay? And we wanted somebody to lead our fun at work practice at the firm that Vani and I led. And we invited Freddy to join our team, so he and we worked together for more than a couple of years. Very interesting times. And he led our fun at work practice at the consulting firm that Vani and I once ran. That consulting firm, of course, went into a lot of trouble and forms the latter part of our story in our lives, which is that it went bankrupt, and somewhere along the way, Fred and us parted ways. But we've always been in touch, and one thing I can never forget about Fred is the way he is. He called himself, so in our firm then, and even now, Vani and I have interesting titles. I call myself Chief Dreamer. She calls her Mother Goose. She calls herself Mother Goose. So Fred's title in the firm was Mr. Happy. And that's something that he's always been. So I'm very delighted to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Happy, Freddy Koikaran. And My young friend here, Shyam, was introduced to us by another great friend, Janaki, who's here in the audience. Thank you, Janaki and Sabir, for making it this evening. So Shyam's story is very interesting. He's a runaway RJ. I call him a runaway RJ. He ran away from engineering school to become an RJ. And is your dad already here? He's going to join us now. Okay. So, so he had a pact with his parents over choosing a life of drudgery as an engineer, or choosing a life of joy as an actor, as a dreamer, as somebody that truly wanted to live his life. And then he said to his dad and mom that he will take a break of 1 year from engineering school. And if he succeeds, then in finding a path for himself and moving in the direction of his bliss, then he doesn't need to come back to engineering school. But if he fails, then he has to go back to becoming an engineer. He has never had to go back, ladies and gentlemen. And that's Shyam Renganathan for you. The youngest Bliss catcher ever on our show. Okay? So Shyam, that makes you very, very special this evening. So that's an awesome set of guests we have today. Freddy and Shyam, would you please join me, gentlemen, here? Please, please, please. Anywhere. I'm taking this chair. All right. And you can pick up your mics, set them up as we get ready. So those of you who are standing at the back, if you'd like, please be seated. Please feel free. This is an open show. No tickets, no fee. And it's a very interesting show today. We have something very exciting happening. A couple of marketing pitches, and then we'll get into the conversation. Okay. So I must thank our dear friend Ashwin. Both the Ashwins are there, Ashwin Senior and Ashwin Junior, and Parandaman and the team at Odyssey for getting this together every month. This month, as you can see, we are all drunk on bliss because we are sitting on bar stools, you see. So there's a change in the seating. You can see us better. I'm feeling very comfortable. Are you guys feeling comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great for my lower back.
On all your seats, you'll find wonderful bookmarks. Please take them away. One of them talks about Freddy and Shyam, and the other one talks about next month's Bliss Catchers, which is Kirti and Indu. And on the last Saturday of every month, ladies and gentlemen, is when Bliss Catchers happens. This month we have a gifting partner join us, which is Hazel notebooks, journals, and you all have an opportunity to pick up a 15% discount on any Hazel product that you buy. So these are your coupons. Please don't lose them. If you don't want to use them, give them away to somebody else.
I'll take them.
We'll take all of them. But I think conditions apply.
Oh.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about Hazel towards the end of the show again. But thank you, Gokul and your team, for partnering with us here. So Freddy and Shyam, are you all set? Shall we get started?
No, we got it. Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to start with Shyam first. Okay, let's give the young man the privilege. Fred, are you okay with that?
Oh, that's him. Okay,
Oh.
right.
So let me start with you, Shyam. When you decided that you wanted to do acting and you wanted to be an actor, what time of your life was that in? Was it early on in school that you discovered this bug, or was it later on that you? Because it's a very enticing space, right? It's very glamorous. Is that the reason why you took it, or were there early signs that you could be an actor? Can you talk a little bit about your early days? You're young, but still early days.
So I always loved entertaining people and making them laugh. There was this one incident that happened in second standard. It was during a fancy dress competition, and everybody was dressed up as a superhero or some kind of a freedom fighter. I wanted to be funny, so I dressed up as Charlie Chaplin. And there was this one kutti act that I had devised. I had to take a banana in my hand, open the banana, eat the peel, and throw the fruit on the floor. And act as though I'm slipping on it.
Did you eat the peel?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and I was supposed to act as though I slipped on it, and I ended up actually slipping and hurting my back. But the moment I fell down, I heard everybody laugh and clap. I got up as it was all part of the act, and that was the first instance that I realized much later on in life that really stuck to my memory. But later on, while growing up, there's this, during parent-teacher meetings, there's one very bad thing that the teachers do. They tell your parents that your son is smart, which obviously leads your parents into thinking that if my son is smart, he should do IIT. So that happened. I had a phase in life where I thought that if you have to be successful, there are only two ways to do it. First you do IIT, then you do IIM. So obviously this acting, entertaining and all was not even like part of my thought process back then. But later on I realized that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
So how did you beat this IIT, IIM juggernaut that was being thrown at you? I know you didn't beat it, we'll come to your engineering school part of it, but how did you manage at all to deflect it for a while at home? Did you try more of acting and theatre and stuff like that to check yourself out? How did that next stage of your evolution go through?
So I went for IIT coaching just like most of the people in our city, from 10th standard to 12th standard. And after going, so I got a very good mark in my 10th standard, which led into my parents thinking that, yeah, if he's getting good marks in 10th, obviously he's IIT material. So I went to IIT coaching, and the first day I realized it's not my thing. These guys are of a different set. I'm here, this is not my thing. So I fooled around for 2 years, 3 years, bunking classes. I studied for the IIT coaching one day before the exam. And I managed to get like 40 out of 150 or something. And my mother still didn't lose confidence. She was like, ஒரு நாள் முன்னாடி படிச்சே 40 மார்க் நீ வாங்குறேனா? ஒரு மாசம் நீ படிச்சிருந்தா. She still believes that. My son was born to be an engineer. So that happened, and I obviously joined engineering college. And then the first 2 years were really frustrating. I had to find one thing that could, get me out of this. So that discovery happened, like theatre happened.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. So we're still with your story of how you got into engineering college. I'll come back to you, Freddy. Let's start the conversation with you on your story. How was it for you? Did you have like early second standard, events happening in second standard and third standard and fifth standard in your life, or did it come much later that you had an inkling that you could be in theatre, in the show business?
Well, because of my age, as you mentioned, I can't remember that far back. but I think theatre came much later. Theatre definitely came much later for me. I was always a bit of a performer. I think if you look at, we're 5 of us in the family. That means as in my brother, sister, me, and my parents. So if you look at any family picture, family portrait, I'm the youngest. I'll be the one who's always making some kind of a face, and
in the family portraits.
In the family portraits. And the problem was this is before digital cameras, so you have to wait till the photo's developed, and only then you see it like, smile properly. So I was always the clown, and I think in some ways at school I also reveled in that. I never had too many opportunities in school. I studied abroad, as you know. So
you were born in Montreal?
Yes, I was born and raised in Montreal.
Do you still have a Canadian citizenship?
I do, yes.
You do?
Yeah,
you do?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So that explains your very special accent.
It's quite diluted now. It's kind of a mishmash of accents. It's North American as well as Indian. So I always say I lived in North America, and we lived, by a lot of the Indian values. Dad and mom raised us that way. So I was an Indian kid living in Canada. Now I'm a Canadian living in India. I don't know where I belong anymore. So in school, there were not too many opportunities for me to get on stage as such. It actually happened after I came to India. And as you said, it was the unique way I speak, and the accent and all of that stuff. It was one of my profs in college who, he mentioned, this is in Cochin, he said, we have a theatre group, and you should come and join that group. We meet on the weekends. It's called the Living Theatre. The Little Theatre. So I said, okay, great, where do you guys meet? And he told me. So I went to that place on that Sunday, and I walked in, there were a few people there, and they were reading some script. And I said, is this the Little Theatre? And they said, no, this is the Living Theatre. So I thought, maybe I made a mistake. And I said, okay, and I joined up with them. I found out much later that they were two rival groups. And,
yeah. You ended up joining the wrong group?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my prof was not very happy with me after that. But that was, I must have been 20. That's when I actually had my first tryst with theatre.
Oh, it's as late as 20 that you actually had your first tryst. Yeah. And this was in Cochin? In
Cochin.
Do you remember something from your first production play? Did you play a part in it? Did you
very much.
Directed what?
No. Direction came much later. I played a role in a Woody Allen play called Death. Do you know Paul Matthew?
Yeah, of course, Paul.
Paul Matthew and I, we're both Malayali. I don't know how that. But anyway, we both look the same, basically, same height and with the glasses.
He looks a little older than you.
Yeah, a little older than me. Yeah, not too much though. And so Paul and I actually played opposite each other, and the first lines that I ever said on stage in a play were to Paul. So he's.
Do you remember those lines?
Yeah, no, I don't remember the lines, but he's very, very dear to me, and I do look up to him as a mentor because he's just an amazing actor.
Yeah, Paul, for those of you who don't know him, is an amazing actor, and he's also like the person who started corporate theatre in the south of India, right? Yeah, and in a way he pioneered that, and a lot of you and us, all of us, kind of followed in that space, right? So it was in college at the age of 20 that you debuted on stage.
Yeah, that's right. It was in college. Yeah, it was like.
So how was it at that time? Were you getting an idea that this is what you wanted to do? Because now you look back, you're almost like what 25 years on stage.
Yeah,
I knew you'll get there.
It was very different then. We all did. We indulged in theatre, I'll say, purely out of interest. Purely, it was just a passion. There was absolutely no money in it. I think even today that's pretty much the same. But at least today the groups are they're trying to figure out models that can somehow make it some kind of remuneration out of it. But in those days, 25 years back, we did it because we just enjoyed it. That was it.
So how long did you do theatre in Kerala, and what brought you to Chennai, and how did you get involved in Chennai, the theatre scene in Chennai?
I moved
Madras back then.
Yes, that's right. I moved to Chennai, Madras, to join the Madras Christian College. This was in '93.
This was for your post-graduation?
My post-graduation, that's right.
So you're a very learned man compared to me.
Well, see, I attended the courses. Whether I learned it or not is a different thing. But so at MCC, I had a chance to. I took part in 2 plays in the span of the 1 year that I was there. So that kind of set me on course to get involved in theatre. Then started working with the groups in City, the Madras Players, Masquerade, the other groups that were around at that point in time.
And you even directed a play for Little Theatre. Was that much later?
All around the same time. I've taken part in the annual Christmas pantomime for I think 9 years on the trot. With that, directed one of their
productions.
Yeah.
So all of this happened during college and a little after college.
Okay, yeah.
We'll come to your story, or maybe I'll ask you one more question before I go to Shyam. How did you decide? Was it a very conscious decision not to pursue theatre as a full-time, as a passion occupation, but also seek an employment to keep the business of earning a living going? Was that a very conscious decision, or was it an organic
No, absolutely. Like I said, at that point in time, it was not feasible to consider stage as a way to, in my opinion anyway, to consider stage work as a way of earning a living. And I need my little bit of luxury.
So how did RJ happen, and what was the first set of jobs that you kept around the time that you were RJing? I remember you were among the first people on AIR FM, right?
Yeah, that's right. I started in advertising, and while I was working in advertising as a copywriter, I got an opportunity with what was called Times FM at that point in time.
Right.
So we had a 1 hour,
this was
slot,
Mirchi.
believe it or not, a 1 hour slot each day. So this was long before
the
private stations opened up.
Right.
So while I was a writer, and then subsequently when I joined Music World. So that was great. Once I joined
Which year are we talking about now?
This is 97, 98.
Okay.
When I joined Music World, it was a dream because I was handling operations for them. So when it was time for my radio show, I just walk around the store and I pick up CDs. Okay, this and this. And what do I feel like today? Oh, yeah, this. And head off with those CDs to the station, use the CDs, and then come back and get them repacked again.
So you were doing pretty much following your bliss even then.
I guess I was.
You loved music.
Yeah.
And you were doing an RJ's job in the evenings.
Yeah.
And you were working as a store manager at Music World.
Yeah.
And you had access to the best music.
Yeah,
right.
If you look at it that way, absolutely. I just didn't realize it at that point of time. Like they say, hindsight is 20/20. But at the time, I was just keeping busy, doing things that I wanted to do, and I had no clue what direction I was going to be heading in. And to be honest, I still don't. So.
We'll come to your direction, and then AVIS and Vani happened.
Yes.
Right? I want to tell you this very, very interesting incident between Freddy and me and Vani. We were recruiting and we wanted somebody who would be completely, you can see the man, you can see how alive he is as he's narrating his story. He's giving you a feel of what he was actually doing in the music store, right? So that we needed somebody like that, and Freddy was playing very hard to get. He would not join us. And then I think we wooed him for almost 3 months, right? We wooed you for almost 3 months.
I spent all my energy wooing my wife. So then now I have to do it to somebody else.
So we wooed him for almost 3 months, and when he signed up finally, we had a tradition of people joining our firm with very wacky approaches. So among our first team members was somebody who sent his job application with an egg on it, and with a real egg on it, and said, "Dear Mother Goose, don't hatch for too long." That was how our first application came from somebody asking for a job. People hurry. Okay. And Freddy sent me a letter. In those days, we still had snail mail. Sent me a letter which had 2 enclosures. The letter was a letter of acceptance, and it said, "Dear Avis, I accept your invitation to join your team, but then subject to these 2 bills of mine being processed." And what were those bills? They were bills for headache. He had actually photoshopped pharmacy bills, okay? And I remember it was even called Money Pharmacy, okay? And it said, for headache, for heartburn, for sleepless nights, and for doctor fees and all of that. Suppose you reimburse these, and then I will join you. So that's how Freddy joined our team. So thank you, Freddy, for bringing all that away. When you said Music World, all of it came gushing back to me. Okay, let's go to Shyam's story. Shyam, tell us a little bit about engineering college, the mood out there, and how did you decide this is not what you wanted to do? And then what did you do about it? Okay.
First of all, before that, I just want to say I love how subtle are you pointing out his age. You said, last decade. I would be surprised if you suddenly go like, so how was it, spending time with Gandhi? How was it? Coming to engineering was, I never knew what I wanted to do in life. So I was always just, I still don't. I was always this confused guy. I would just do the things that my friends were doing and never really gave my life much of a thought. I said, okay, I'll be fine, I'll be sorted. And then I couldn't decide. I actually got the application for visual communication in Loyola. And I was of this mindset that if you're a smart kid, you should not do arts. You're wasting your parents' money, like whatever they spent for your education, and you're doing arts. Like, come on, you gotta be an engineer. So I was of that mindset.
Oh, so you actually were veering towards engineering yourself?
Yeah. So I had this mindset of one thing that I never wanted to be in my life was being a mediocre. Like something like from my childhood, I just wanted to be rich and like. So someone told me that if you want to be rich, you got to do IIT, IIM. So I was of that mindset that okay, I'm smart. My teachers have told me I'm smart. My mom believes in me, so I can do this and I can become rich. So that confusion was going on, and till the last date of joining, I didn't know what course I wanted to take up in engineering. And I took up biotechnology randomly because me being a computer science student, I did computer science in 11th, 12th. I have no history of bio at all. I took it up because it just sounded like something different. I didn't want to do like a mainstream engineering. And first day I walk into college, I realized that this is not happening. I cannot spend
What triggered that? development. Here you were with reasonably sorted plans of wanting to become rich by being an engineer, and then you say the first day kind of blacked you off. What happened?
I just felt like I was not part of this group. I just felt that people were here with different intentions. They really wanted to do what they were doing. They were not as clueless as me. People had, and they had everything sorted, like fresh out, like right out of 12th standard. I still can't pick a shirt that I want to wear. These guys were planning, master's plans. This is where I want to get a job. I'll get married when I'm this age. And I just felt very weird being there. I felt out of place. And so that kind of triggered it. But also I remember this conversation I had with my father. He told me he was breaking his provident fund to pay for the donation for the college. And the bank manager, actually, SBI bank manager, he sat me down because he's been in this, this banking relationship with my father for the last 20 years. He said, listen, your father is breaking his provident fund. You know what that means. So all that pressure was there.
So that must have been a very ominous conversation.
So all that came back to me, and I was like, shut up, Shyam, you just have to go through with this. You cannot do anything. So that happened. I spent a year there and another year.
Then what changed? How did things change?
Like after, every day, I would come back home and then cry to my mom. I would say, this is not what I want to do. But at the same time, I don't know what was it that I wanted to do. So I had no concrete thing to tell them that this is what I want to do. So let me do this. And also,
but you were clear this is not what I want to do.
Yeah, I was very clear with the fact that this is definitely not something that I want to do. I don't know what I want to do, but this is not it. So that engineering taught me. So 1 year went by, and the second year I could just not take it. I started getting very frustrated, and I also started watching a lot of movies, reading a lot of books, reading a lot of Robin Sharma books, trying to find what the purpose of life is. Shyam, why are you doing this? And
find out.
I realized that even Robin Sharma is still figuring it out.
Have you ever had two guests as clueless as both guests?
I'm enjoying it. Continue.
So that happened, and so the second year I used to go back home, cry to my parents every day, and so my parents, I actually went to my father and said, Appa, if you send me to college again, I'll suicide. I'll commit suicide. And he did the most amazing thing. He called up my HOD and said, my son is saying this. The next day I go to college, all the professors who usually keep yelling at me, they're like, Shyam, is there an issue? I will help you out. Any problems with relationship, girlfriends? I'm like, that happened. I came up with creative excuses. I said, my college was in Sriperumbudur, so we had to drive down in the bus for 1.5 hours. I told him, Appa, Rajiv Gandhi went to Sriperumbudur once, he got killed. He's telling me that every day. They wouldn't budge at all. And then I figured out slowly that this is not working. Because this is not fair. My father has broken his provident fund, paid donation, put me here. I either have to study, finish this off, or figure out something else on my own. And at this point in time, there was not one single thing that I was doing which was making me happy. I was very frustrated because most of my time was spent at college. The other half of the day was spent cribbing and complaining to my parents. And I realized I need something in my life to, hold on to, something that I like doing so I can survive engineering. That is when, I started thinking about all the things that made me happiest during my life. And I came down to the point of saying that one thing that I will do for the rest of my life and be happy with is entertaining people. I've always loved making people smile, making people laugh. And I got back memories of doing theatre plays. I was part of a theatre club in my previous school in Jaipur. So we'd done a couple of productions and we'd done a lot of street theatre. That's when I went up to my humanities and English department HOD and I said, sir, we are a group of people. I found 5-6 other people who were like, macha, I also didn't want to do that. My parents forced me down. I don't know what to do. So I found a group of people like that. We all went to the HOD. We said, sir, we're a group of people and we want to start SEC's theatre club. And coincidentally...
SEC is your college?
SEC. Coincidentally, Karthik Kumar was coming to the college that day. So, So, met Karthik Kumar there, told him that we were interested. And then a couple of conversations later, we got to know about Kriya Shakti. They were doing a college theatre initiative thing. That's when we formed the theatre club in college, and for the first time in 2 years, I was happy in college because we found this secret group, secret society in college that, you know, during the lunch breaks and canteen breaks, we'd like give secret looks to each other saying, "Hi, I'll see you in the evening, I'll see you at rehearsals."
So something to look forward to.
Yeah. So I'd wake up in the morning saying, "Oh, I gotta go to college, but I have rehearsals in the evening."
Right. I think even as he's talking and he's making it sound very light, I think he's making some very, very profound points here. One is very clearly that you have to not necessarily know what you want to do. Even if you don't know what you want to do, be very clear about what you don't want to do in life. And I think that is a phenomenal clarity coming through here. And look at the joy when he describes having found a reason to be happy in college. That is something which I find common among all Bliss catchers, that they perhaps discover themselves only when they follow their bliss. I was talking to another great theatre personality, by the way, earlier this month, P.C. Ramakrishna, at another series that I curate called The Artist's Soul. And I asked Ram, what is it that makes you so deliriously happy about theatre? And he says that he's been on stage, by the way, for 53 years, 48 of them with the Madras Players. And he said, I survived 26 years of a horrible corporate job looking forward to theatre rehearsals in the evening. And that is something that, you know, I resonate with your story, Shyam. And so how did you decide that I can't take this engineering anymore? So you started enjoying your theatre evenings, you formed that secret group, and you know, you did all that stuff, but how did that turning point happen in favor of what you're doing right now?
So we put up two short plays, you know, half an hour each at the Music Academy. Music Academy Mini Hall. And there was one moment where I was performing on stage. I was doing something very stupid. I was using like pickup lines, and I saw my parents sitting there in the first row and laughing their hearts out. That was one moment when, and for the first time in such a, you know, so many years, I felt like I finally found something that I want to do for the rest of my life. I'm like, this is it. I'm going to do theatre for the rest of my life. All that money equation, that success equation, all that went for a toss. I'm like, I'm happy right now. I can do this for the rest of my life and be happy, and I'm going to do this. So, and I decided that even if I don't make any money, I told my father, so I was like, I wouldn't say that to him right now, but I was of that mindset back then, and I was really happy that I found that one thing in my life that I want to do.
How did you convince him finally to let you go?
So, the letting go part of it, or dropping out part of it was not even like part of the question, because bank manager provided fund. So then something amazing happened randomly. I went for World Theatre Day, which was curated by Freddy and Marty. And that's when I met Marty, and they were doing an internship program at this theatre company that I work with now, Stagefright. So I was also interested in making videos, so I sent in an application, and then I joined them as an intern. And this other incident that happened the next month was this contest that Pepsi was doing. It was called the Pepsi IPL Intern. It was a marketing stint to
the Pepsi IPL?
Intern.
Okay.
So, the marketing campaign was that Ranbir Kapoor was the Pepsi IPL intern. Now he's been fired. We're looking for the next intern. And the person who wins this gets to go to Dubai to watch the match, and he gets to like chill with all the players.
That was the year when IPL was played in Dubai.
In Dubai, 2014.
Right.
So I randomly applied for it, and I don't know anything about cricket. And these guys called me. They said, "Why should we select you?" I said, "It'll be interesting if you have somebody who knows nothing about cricket, you know, make fun of it." And trust me, the national brand team actually bought that. And they booked tickets for me. And the couple of months ago, 6 months ago, was the time when I first got my passport. Because Appa is in the army, my international experience is always like, you know, he'll take us to the border and say, "Son, that is Pakistan. That is China. You see the Chinese man there." And there have been moments where I've stood at the, you know, Rajasthan, Pakistan border and been like, wow, the camels look the same on both sides. So I've never been abroad. The maximum I've been is the Nepal border, where they have. I remember I wanted a Walkman back then, and you know, walk. So I also feel old now. So I went to this Nepal market on the border where they'd have Walkmans and they'd ask you, sir, what brand you want? And he'd have stickers of all the brands. Sony, Videocon, everything. He'll take the sticker and stick it in the What country you want? Made in China, made in Japan, made in Korea. He'd have all those stickers and just stick it in the video. So my international experiences were like that. And
so you ended up going to Dubai?
Ended up going to Dubai and first trip alone. Going there, and I was not old enough to drink. I convinced the brand manager there, saying my dad's in the army, alcohol and all, army parties is very common. Said, okay, fine, let's have a drink. Ended up having a good conversation with him and put up in a really, really good hotel. I went to this hotel called Burj Al Arab, which is a 7-star hotel, having breakfast there. So imagine for a guy who's been going to SVC and eating the 15 rupees pongal every day, falling asleep in class, hating his life. Suddenly I'm sitting there experiencing all this and meeting people from all around the world. It was a very different experience for me. And that was a time when I was reading a lot of books. I was reading The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And the last day when I was leaving from Dubai was the time when I was like, gotta go back to engineering. And I really don't want to do this right now. And there was this one quote. I was waiting to board my flight back to Chennai. When I read this quote, it said, you know, when you really want something with all your heart, the entire world will conspire and will bring it to you. Very poetic, but actually happened. I'm not making this up. So that was one moment when I was like, I finally know what I want to do in my life. If I let this opportunity go, Shyam, this is not going to come back. This is the time that you need to step up, you need to grow a pair and do something about it. And
so you came back and you talked to your parents about it?
Yeah, I came back and my father's finally here in the audience. So
we'll come to you for that part of the story. Just hold on a bit. I need to go to Fred, but we are at the midway point where we will ask, your dad's here, sir. Mr. Renganathan, welcome. We are hearing the fascinating story of Shyam, and he's keeping us all regaled with his experiences. Thank you for joining us this evening. So, before I go on to Fred's story and then come back to Shyam, we have a midway point quiz question. You should have heard this conversation very, very closely, and you should have known our guests pretty well for you to answer these questions. Let's see who gets the mugs here. Okay. So the families of our guests are exempted from participating. See, they cannot participate in this. Okay. No, you can't participate. You can't participate. Okay, but you tell me later whether you knew the answer or not. Okay, so here are my questions for the audience. Connect Shyam Renganathan to any of these people. I'll go in an order. If you're able to connect faster, even better. Okay, connect Shyam Renganathan to any of these people. Hero of Alexandria. Does that ring a bell? No. Isaac Newton. Keep thinking, keep thinking. Now the next two clues are sitters. You should get this. Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit.
I know the answer, can I say it?
You can't say it. You are part of the family. And Andres Celsius.
Fever.
Yeah, who gave the answer fever? Why would you say fever?
Very works.
Huh? Very works, but what is the connection between these people and fever?
Fahrenheit and Celsius.
Which is
Thermometer.
Thermometer. So I think we'll give the two mugs here. One to Ati for thermometer being the right answer, okay, and the other to the gentleman who connected fever. So the two of you, can you step forward, please? So I'll give you the right answer here, Ati, your mug.
Thank you.
So they get these wonderful, beautiful mugs. The season 3 mugs. Your name, sir? Yugesh. Hi, Yugesh. Thank you. So the answer is that the thermometer was never an invention, it was a development. And it started as early as 1780 with Hero of Alexandria. And progressively, the thermometer arrived in its current form. So it cannot be connected back to one inventor. That's one of the things I discovered today. And because he works for Fever FM, the question came. So the answer is the thermometer, which was Ati's answer, and the connection is Fever, which is the station that Shyam represents.
Because it could not be connected to things. That's why there were two people who did it.
Well, The next question is for Fred. Okay, is on Fred. Sorry, it's not for Fred. Of course not. Okay. Okay. Connect Freddy to the Olympics of 1976.
Montreal.
You said
Put in
Montreal.
Montreal.
You can't get 2 marks. So we go to the other answer. No, Ati, I could give you 2 marks, but then I'd like to give somebody else.
No problem. I said Montreal.
You said Montreal too? Yeah, I heard you say Montreal. Can you come forward, Ramesh? I heard Ramesh also shout the answer at the same time. So Freddy was born in Montreal in the Olympics, 1976 Summer Olympics were held in Montreal.
That's right.
So Ramesh,
One more mug.
one more mark for you. Yes, thank you. Okay. So, let's continue with our conversation, Freddy. Is that mic not working? Do you want to replace the mic? In the mic,
Check.
Freddy, let's talk a little bit about how you balanced.
Sorry, before you say that, I just wanted to add on to what Shyam said. For me, it wasn't in college, it was after I had started working. My first job was with AVIS as a writer. And the workload wasn't very heavy. We were expected to be in office till 5:30. And literally at 5:25 every day, I would clean up my desk, shove everything in the drawer, and I'd sit there for the next 3 minutes waiting for it to be 5:30 so I could leave and run to rehearsal. And we would, there were a group of us who would meet up. We'd sit and read, rehearse, whatever. This would go on till 10, 10:30 at night every day.
No sense of time.
No sense of time. And it would be pretty late in the evening. All of us were young and just out of college, just started working. This pretty much was every day. And then figure out where to go for dinner and then head home by around 11:30 midnight.
So you did have your
Every day.
your sense of what gave you joy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I realized when he said it. It didn't even occur to me. We used to do this every day. All of us from different walks of life who had this one passion in common, which was theatre.
Theatre.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm glad you brought it up because my next question is actually linked to that. If you look at your career graph, if you look at Freddy's career graph, he's maintained this fantastic balance between a job that gives him a paycheck and a passion that necessarily does not give him a paycheck but keeps him very, very happy and very, very thriving, full of energy. How did you manage this fine balance? Was it through design? Was it through trial and error? Was it through a sense of calculated risk? How did this clarity come about? And can you talk a little bit about the jobs you've kept? I mean, apart from the, you work with Music World, you work with Swami, you work with us at Image Equity, and you work with R.R. Donnelly, right?
So, this actually goes even further back before I got into college. I did a BSc in zoology once upon a time.
Seriously?
In a galaxy far, far away. I actually majored in zoology. And a friend of my...
Freddy in charge of Vandalur Zoo. I don't know. I can't picture that.
Yeah, I had trouble with dissection. Yeah, that was the biggest problem I had with that degree, yeah. So I'd end up ripping out the things that I didn't need to and stuff like that. But anyway, so a friend of my sister's, she saw me struggling through this degree and, trying to get a degree. I mean, it's important that you have some qualification because you need a qualification to get a job, and right? Yeah. So this is what we're always told, and this is traditional thinking, that you need to be qualified to get a good job. And so I struggled through my degree, and I think I was halfway through. It must have been my second year, and this friend of my sister, she told me, she said, Fred, you like writing, and you write these little funny things, and I used to, just for fun, I completely forgot about that thing about sending you those bills. I'm so sorry, but
I hope you remember I paid you for that.
Did you? Really? So I used to, like, even if I was giving someone a gift for their birthday, I had a habit of wrapping it and then maybe drawing something on it, much the way you would see something which is packed, in pencil and colors. I had a habit of doing that, which this friend, she told me, she said, why is there this disconnect between what you like doing, what you enjoy doing, what you seem to be good at doing, and what you're studying?
Okay.
So this is actually long before theatre happened or anything. It was a little before that. And at that point, that I realized was the turning point for me. And I said, oh my God, she's right. Which is why once I finished my degree, I didn't quit my degree. I was halfway through it, and I said, you know what? Let's finish it off. You know, you started this road, and let's complete that journey. I finished it and then moved to Chennai to join MCC, where I did journalism and mass comm, with the intention of getting into advertising, and that was actually very planned. It was during when all of that happened. I decided to move all of the last year that I was in Kochi that I got into theatre. So I think it had to do with what she told me, that a lot of things happened subsequently. And came to MCC, did a course which unfortunately taught me nothing. Started working subsequently and worked with a small agency before I joined RK Swami, joined Rediffusion. Then I got the offer to move into retail, which is where I went to Music World. Right. And then I met these two weirdos who pulled me into a job with their consulting firm. I was in radio, as you know, so at some point...
So, but there has been this fine balance. Is that something that got organically created, or is there a... what I'm trying to understand is, did you apply a lot of thought? Did you always say that I need...
not not at all.
I need something solid in my hand even as I proceed with the risk-taking part of my life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. By God's grace, I've been very fortunate that whatever jobs I've moved to, it's always been that it's a better salary, a better role, as it were, and that's important at the end of the day. But I've worked in so many different industries, which was not planned. I think it was...
You went with the flow there.
I went with the flow.
But you always ensured that there was something to fall back on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But
I
was also doing things that I enjoyed. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So whether it was advertising or retail,
okay,
where Music World was a dream for me because I love music. So being operations manager for...
Oh, so what you're saying is that you took up jobs, but you also took up jobs that gave you a lot of joy.
Yes.
And it wasn't just about a paycheck, but it was about something that you engaged with.
Yes. It wasn't that I had a 20-year career with the same company and and had that huge provident fund, which I don't have today. It wasn't that. I kept changing jobs, but I realized now that I was...
Or opportunities that pay you a check at the end of every month. That is in your line of bliss. It may not be exactly theatre that he did, which got him a paycheck every month, but he was involved in jobs that were secure from the point of view of earning him a paycheck, but also gave him a lot of joy doing, whether it was advertising or whether it was retail or whether it was in the corporate training business.
I never wanted to live the life of the impoverished, struggling artist.
Very good point.
Never wanted to do that.
It's a fantastic point. That's a fantastic point. I think this is something that many people struggle with, and in fact, one of our regular members in the audience is not here, but he often asks, why is it that some Bliss catcher stories end up being, as if they've sacrificed a lot for their bliss. Now, it's not that they have sacrificed a lot for their bliss, it's just that they were probably not as lucky as Freddy has been in terms of being able to get the right opportunities at the right time along the way. Possibly also because of the fact that you kept your antennae up for them.
I was going to say that.
You were clear about what you didn't want to do.
If I had decided to stay with the same organization for the last 20 years, I would probably be financially better off than I am today.
Right.
I'm definitely not as financially well off as I'd like to be, but then who is?
Right.
No one's ever happy with, the amount of money they have.
How much does family play a role in this? I mean, you have Nisha here, so I'm going to go to Nisha as well for a quick question. But before that, with you, when you do something as creative as you do, which is on one side theatre, and then you take up jobs which are unusual in nature, how much support do you look for from the family, and how has it been as an experience for you?
Honestly, well, I come from a pretty traditional background. My parents, who live in Kochi, they're quite traditional in their ways. They're not conservative necessarily, but traditional. So they didn't really understand a lot of what I was doing. And so for the longest time, I didn't really explain to them. Unfortunately, I wasn't in college when I decided I wanted to step into something like this. I had started working, so at that point, they really couldn't question it other than, are you sure? I mean, do you make any money doing that? So they didn't really understand, so I just kind of, you know, I didn't want to upset them by constantly telling them that I'm doing these kind of things. On the other hand, I've been very fortunate. My in-laws are here. They've been extremely supportive. You know, but never mind. I won't even talk about my wife because that's a different story completely. But I think with Dad and Mom, it would have been very easy for them when we approached them and we said, you know, we would like to get married. It would have been very easy for them to say, wait a minute, this guy doesn't have a, you know, he doesn't have a job in a corporate. Yeah, he's not making, you know, lakhs and lakhs of rupees a year. And it could have been very easy for them to do that, but I think they saw something in me which I didn't see. And you know, so I'm very grateful to them for having understood that about me.
Very good. So I'm glad you.
Thank you. Yes, love it so much.
Yeah, so I can do, so she's my #1 cheerleader because I can do the worst job on stage or when I'm sing completely off key and Mom will still come and pinch my cheeks and say, oh, Moni, that was so good. I'm like, Ma, I can't take your words seriously.
Nisha, question for you. What excites you most about this rather, you know, very unconventional journey of Friends? What excites you most? And I know that you partner a lot with him on many of your productions together. So what makes it so exciting for you?
It's not a normal day ever. I think I'm personally a person who doesn't like routine at all. So when I met Freddy, he didn't fall into that, you know, that compartment of, okay, I've got this solid job, this is my plan for the future. None of that. It was something that I was not exposed to. So that is what excited me the most. And I
She's being in past tense, if you know. Excited.
And I think coincidentally we just completed 17 years of being married. So
awesome.
I think in all those 17 years, every day has been very different with their struggles. But yeah, so
I'm going to come to the struggles in a bit, but thank you, Nisha, for that perspective. We've had this point of view come from another Bliss Catchers spouse as well, which is she's a lawyer and her husband is a chef and a travel show host. Rakesh Renganathan, he was with us last year, the season opener in January, and she said, the reason why I love Rakesh and what he does is I can't do many of the things myself. I hold a very boring job as a lawyer, which is very predictable, and Rakesh's life is full of excitement, so it kind of makes up for me. So beautiful that you shared that perspective. By the way, Fred, I want to say this for not only for Nisha and not only for Vani, but for all the spouses that support each other. I think it makes it a lot better when the two partner hand in hand together, because it's a journey of discovery and it's a lot more fun when two people are doing it together. So,
yeah, no, that's what I meant also when I said I'm not even going to talk about her because she's my partner in Stagefright. I don't know if you realize that.
Yeah, no, I'm going to come to that. Yeah, Mom, you buy me a drink in the evening. Okay, Shyam, back to your story. So, your dad's here, so I was waiting for your dad to come for you to really dramatize this whole thing and tell us. Okay. So, how did you finally convince Colonel Renganathan that this is not happening, Dad and Mom, and please trust me and let me step out of engineering? How did that deal happen?
I after Dubai, I made up my mind that I'm not going back to college. I do not want to do it. And I had also figured out that theatre is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I wrote my first short play, which is a 10-minute play at Short and Speed Theatre Festival 2014. And that play was titled To Be E or Not to Be E. It was about being in a frustrating engineering college when you don't want to. And that resonated with a lot of people. A lot of people liked that play. I actually took off from college, spoke to my HOD and told her that I'm not coming because I'm doing this play. I won't be able to come for 3-4 days. I have rehearsals. And then she sat me down, she tried to convince me. She's like, you're only looking at the cream of the crop. You're only looking at people who've made it. You're not looking at the people. There are like millions of people who've tried to make it. There are people struggling in this field. Why do you want to do this? But I'm a Leo, so like I do listen to everybody, but end of the day, like you tend to do what you really want to do. So I made up my mind. I went and tried to speak to my parents. My father was actually posted in Manipur that time, and the situation there was tense. And they're like around, if I'm not wrong, there are how many militant groups? 60 plus militant groups, and he's posted in this very intense area, and his son back home is saying he doesn't want to go to college, for which he's broken his provident fund. So he said I'm coming back. He's told his commander that he's going to fly back because my son needs him. So he came back, tried talking to him, told him that I do not want to do this, and I had to be a little fair. My parents' point was, I understand that you want to do theatre. 2 more years, just finish it off. But I don't know, I had some sort of an urgency because I was thinking about the fact that after 2, I know for a fact that I don't want to do this. After 2 years, my friends, my classmates are going to be in a position where they're either doing masters, they're ahead of me in this game. I'll have to start afresh from like point 0. I'm already on to something right here. So I was like, just give me a year's break. Just give me 1 year for myself. For the last 18, 19 years of my life, I've been listening to you. I've been doing things automatically. Things have been happening. For once, I want to make a decision. I want to make a choice.
Was this a dramatic conversation, series of conversations, or was it like one diplomatic conversation and it was all over?
It was fighting and crying, and the thing was when family gets involved, like there would be aunties in my apartment saying, "Beta," they'll say, "See, beta, today's world, even if you want to be a clerk, you need a degree." And then they turn back and say, like, "What speech Modi gave? Oh, wow, amazing." So all that happened. I'd go to birthday parties. My nephew's birthday party is like 4 or 5 years old, and then his birthday party wouldn't be point of discussion. They'll all sit around. Be like, "Listen, Shyam, you need to get a degree." My nephew would be sitting there, like looking at me saying, "You ruined my birthday party." Yeah. It's all about you going to college or not. So all that drama happened, but then I was like, "Just give me 1 year." They were like, "Sorry, go, funny, go. 1 year you have for yourself. If not," I told them that I'll join back college. If you think that I'm not on the right path, I will join back college.
So I'll come back to you. Sir, can I come to you for a minute? How did you finally take the choice? As a parent, I can feel your anxiety must have been there. But how did you finally let go and say, let him go do what he wants? How did you and your wife come to terms with that?
What? I never gave permission for that. And he pushed his way through.
Okay, so he was a good salesman.
He convinced his mother. And his mother was able to convince me that let's give him 1 year.
Okay, so that's how it happened. Okay, well said, very precisely, very to the point. Thank you. Spoken like a true soldier, sir.
I also did a lot of emotional blackmailing. I said, "Appa, you did come for my annual day play. You've never been there for me. Army is only important to you. Go fight for your country." All that emotional blackmailing happened, and like I told my mom this, and she bought it. So after, then half the job was over. Anyway, I convinced my mom. It's done.
So I think one point here, very important for us to pick up from what Colonel Ranganathan said and from what young Shyam has been regaling us with, that at the end of the day, we all have to be good salespeople. If you want to follow your bliss, if you want to follow your dream, and you need to convince somebody that you got to get that space to be able to do it, you got to pitch your sales pretty well. You got to sell the idea. Now, this is something that we also talk about at a corporate level in boards, where boards seek approval from, approve ideas that CEOs or business leaders propose. And the business leader's job is to ensure that the idea is bought by each member of the board. I think it happens in homes where important decisions are taken. So why should it not happen in the choices that people make about their lives? So I think it's very important. So you, apart from being a very, very good actor, perhaps you're a very good salesman. A talent which you probably have not paid much attention to so far, but I'm catching that in you. Fantastic. We're just getting to the point where we need to go to the audience very quickly. So I'll come to both of you very quickly. So after that, you took up a job with Fever. You joined Stray Factory as as an intern with Mati, and Mati, by the way, was our Bliss Catcher too. So you joined Stray Factory, and then you joined Fever as an RJ. Now I want to ask you a very specific question. That year is over. That year of your deal with your dad and mom is over. You're on your track as an RJ, but where are you as an actor? Do you sit back and reflect and ask, what am I doing with my acting skills? Where am I headed in my career? Does that lead to any insecurity in you? Is there still that thought that I should get a degree? Are you totally convinced that you need a degree now? What are your thoughts about this?
So that year came to an end, and I realized that even though they gave me that 1 year, even if I had won the Academy Award, my parents would not say, don't go back to college. So they were by now convinced that he doesn't want to do this. They asked me to do another degree, but I did not want to study now because they wanted me to do Viscom. A lot of people in the industry told me that don't waste your time, you're already on to something. Just keep going forward. And that's when this Fever job interview happened. I was conducting a children's theatre workshop when they called me, and I did not have time to go back home and change and come for the interview. I was running late. Freddy knows that about me. I run late. Okay. So I went for the interview wearing shorts and a sweaty t-shirt, and there were people sitting in a line, like 5-6 people with briefcases, wearing their ties, with their degrees and everything. And I walked in there, and the watchman looked at me like I'm some guy trying.
You actually went for an interview with shorts and t-shirt.
Shorts and t-shirt, yeah. At the Hindustan Times office in Anna Sale.
Okay.
So I walked in there, and I never really wanted this job. I couldn't imagine my parents saying, "Yeah, get a job." They really wanted me to study. So I went in. I just wanted to have a nice conversation with them. So I said, "Yeah, this is what I do," and I did a little bit of stand-up comedy for them. I started off doing stand-up then. And they were impressed. They sent me like this producer sheet that I had to fill in. I wrote a couple of lines to them. I answered all the questions, sent it back. And that's how I got the job. They sent me for the first time in my life. An HR called me and said, "How much money do you expect?" I never heard that line from anybody. I made no money. So, and I did the stupidest thing that you can do when an HR asks you that question. I said, "Anything is cool." Still waiting for my appraisal.
So are you still believing that you need a degree, or do you now don't need a degree? What are your thoughts on that?
The thing is, I do not want to be, things worked out for me, but still now at least I'm in a very good place. I'm happy doing things that I'm doing. But I don't want to be this guy who is encouraging people not to get a degree, because education is really important at the end of the day. I made a mistake by not knowing what kind of degree I had to study. So that is where I went well. I'm not blaming the education system. It's just me being confused, me getting into the wrong college that led to all of this. So I do understand that I need a degree, most importantly because when I send my wedding invitation, after my name, I don't want to have a 12th pass.
So I would add here, Shyam, I think you have a degree. You have a degree in adventure. And I think that's the biggest degree of them all. He's a postgraduate. I'm a 3rd class in physics. He's a 12th standard. Okay. And I think the 3 of us sitting here should tell you how much a degree is really valuable, right? So, but yes, education is important, and degrees don't guarantee education; they guarantee jobs. So let's be clear about that. And I think so. You have the degree in adventure. I'll give it to you. Okay? So, fantastic. Let me go to Fred and then go to the audience very quickly. Fred, you started Stagefright Productions in 2004. 2004, almost 13, 14 years now since you set up. Was Stagefright Productions, the choice of setting up Stagefright Productions, was it a commercial choice, or was it a choice to engage more meaningfully in what you truly believed in? And you've done so many productions. By the way, Fred has done more than 100 productions in the city. The most recent one was Jesus Christ Superstar, an awesome production that they put together.
I've been part of more than 100, but I've probably been produced around 30.
Oh, around 30. Okay, so you've been part of 100. That's what I meant. Yeah. I'm glad you clarified that. He's been a part of 100. So was Stagefright Productions aimed to be a commercial venture, or was it a venture that would give more meaning to what you're doing, more direction to what you're doing?
I think it's the second thing. When those early days when we used to finish work and all of us would go and meet up at someone's house and sit and do those readings. It was a group of us who actually came up with the name that time itself. So this is in 96, 97, thereabouts. And we came up with the name. We had made a list of names and said, hey, this would be a good name.
So this was an idea back then?
Back then.
Okay.
We all said, hey, we should start a theater company, all of us friends, but it never really transpired at that point in time. So then when 2004, it was luck. I was approached by someone who asked me to direct a musical that they were putting up, which was Grease. That was the first show that we did.
And G-R-E-A-S-E.
Yes, the musical Grease. Once that got over, that show happened, and it happened successfully. The girl who produced it, her name is she's the late Roshni Menon. Roshni, myself, Nish, and our friend Denver, who was the choreographer at the time. The four of us came together and formed Stagefright. And so initially it was all of us together, and then in the last maybe decade or so, it's just been me and Nish running it. Okay. So it's just been a way for us to I don't know, just put a name to what we do.
But if you take something like Jesus Christ Superstar, if those of you who watched it will relate to what I'm saying, it was such a tremendously professional performance put together by a cast, everything was so professional, it was up there. And how does it feel when you pour your heart into something like that, and it's still not, from a sponsor point of view, from a commercial viability point of view, it's still not breaking there? How do you deal with those blows?
That's why we totally understood. You started the session by saying we have to do a few of these sponsor-related things. We totally understand the importance of sponsors. I always say that in Chennai, if you want to put up a show, with regard to dance, theater, or music, you have to be slightly masochistic, because we don't get returns in terms of money. Definitely not. Your audiences, they come for it, they enjoy the show.
So many nights of work.
That's what I'm saying.
Almost 6 months of work for a 2-day program.
Absolutely,
right?
And I guess that's where this word bliss comes into play. Otherwise, there's very few things in my life that I would pursue with such doggedness. It is for a 6-month period, but she knows the lack of sleep that I go through, the number of things that I'm having to balance in my head, because I'm looking at it from a production side. Answering the sponsors' questions. I'm having to deal with the cast, and yeah, sometimes.
Is the director also an actor?
Yeah, I try to avoid.
In Jesus Christ Superstar, you were a singer too.
I was forced to. Yeah. But you're dealing with people who are not necessarily professional, because no one really does acting professionally in the city. I'm talking about stage acting. So because of that, we have to teach people how they're expected to behave. Could be coming to rehearsal on time. It could be learning their lines when they come to rehearsal. You've come a long way, Shyam. So
it is bliss.
Yeah, it is bliss. It has to be bliss. Otherwise, why would we do it?
And I think I want to amplify that point. I think bliss is something that keeps you awake at nights. It keeps you going when the doors are closed, and it gives you that sense of aha when there is still no commercial element on the table. I think that's a good summary.
Yeah.
So on that note, let's go to the audience and give them a chance to ask you some questions before we come to the quiz questions for the evening. So over to the audience. Anybody with a question? Yes, Mr. Madhu. Can we pass Mr. Madhu the mic, please? I'm timing it, so please, audience, bear with me if I say no more questions.
Do you choose the kind of play that you are acting in, or it's just that you have to act in it, or do you have a choice?
I believe that if I'm going to put up something on stage, I would like the maximum number of people possible to come and see it. There are varying thoughts on that. There are some people in the city who say, no, theater and acting, you should do it for the sake of acting, and it's for the sake of the performance. Then do it in your drawing room or do it on the terrace with 10 people watching. So my opinion is that I want as many people as possible coming for a show that I do. Therefore, I try to pick things which I believe will be saleable, things which people can relate to. Because of my background, and I spent the first 18 years of my life abroad, I'm fluent in Malayalam, but not in Tamil or Hindi as such. So English theatre comes more easily to me than vernacular theatre does. So we've stuck to topics and themes which we believe the audiences will enjoy, so that we do get some satisfaction and hopefully they also enjoy it.
Great. Next question, please. No questions? Ramesh, you have a question? Yeah.
I don't have a question, but I have got to tell that I have seen the exact story of yours in a 8-part YouTube stuff.
Yeah, I'll add to that, Ramesh. Thank you for that. Can we give Ramkumar a mic in the front? Money inge kudutha. So I'll add to that. That's actually, thank you, Ramesh, for pointing it out. Shyam's perhaps the only actor whose life story gets into almost like a biopic, even as he starts his career. You know, most actors have biopics later on in their life, but his biopic gets released ahead of his acting career. So if you go to YouTube and look for Raskala's Black Sheep, it's an 8-part series on a boy, Black Sheep. Yeah. So other black letters. Okay. So and Janaki plays his mom in the series. It's a story of his life, of how he dropped out of engineering school. It's a brilliantly produced series. Please do watch it. So you have that unique distinction. Apart from being the youngest Bliss catcher on the show, you are the only actor in the world who has a biopic ahead of your acting career.
This is what my friend told me. He's like, I don't think that you will do anything better than this in your life. You just make it.
Ram, your question, please.
Yeah. So we often hear.
So
we often hear that theatre or art is very difficult to monetize or convert it to money, and this is actually or even a little bit of hurtful feeling of having put so much of effort and time into something, it doesn't actually convert it into money. So my question is actually, is there a way we can, particularly artists, I'm saying, of course it applies to all the bliss catchers who actually follow their passion, follow the bliss, but let's take for example art, whether it is music or theatre or dance. All these people, is there a way we could create a currency which is not money, with which we can exchange, where all the people who, all their passion and all the people who enjoy actually really feel that they made a lot of money, except that we are changing the currency. Like, the question is a little difficult to understand, but I hope you are understanding what I mean.
Can't answer it, but it's a good thought.
It's a good thought.
Interesting thought. Yeah.
I think at this point, that currency is called Anandam, which is our perum Anandam வந்து நடிப்புலயும் நடனத்திலயும் பாடல்கள்லயும் இருக்கு. நம்ம பெரும் ஆனந்தம் வந்து ஆடியன்ஸா இருந்து அதுல வர மகிழ்ச்சியில இருக்கு. So I think there is a currency, but can it be leveraged better? I think that's a very noble thought. I hope somebody picks it up.
So technology can help in terms of
Yeah, I'm sure there is something that can come.
I think without, I'm not sure if I'm answering his question, but I think what it comes down to is, at the end of the day, everybody wants to be, everyone wants to express themselves. Different people do it in different ways. Some people write, some people paint, some people act, some people do stand-up comedy, whatever it is. Everyone wants to express themselves because that's how we communicate with others. For the people who are the audience to that, you're a communicator. And the audience, it's your responsibility, when I say your, I'm including myself, to understand what that person's trying to do. I think that's the currency. Tomorrow, somebody who's extremely passionate about an art form which I don't understand, it's very easy for me to say, what the hell is he doing? That's so stupid, yeah. My place is to say, okay, what's he trying to do? Or what is she trying to do? I don't understand it, but I appreciate it. And I think therein lies that currency. So if that means that you pay that 200 rupees and go for the show, so for example, in my 25 years of going for plays, I've never, ever, ever walked out of a show, regardless of how bad it is. So I've had people with me, friends who would say, hey, my chance is like terrible, yeah, let's go, let's leave. At the break, let's leave. I said, nothing doing.
So that's your currency.
Someone's taken the effort, even if it was a failed effort, and from my perspective, I will still sit there till the end of the show and at least appreciate what they tried to do. You know,
Very good. Very good. Brilliant. Next question, please. Yes, Dr. Chari. Yeah.
It is to Ranganathan. Is he planning to get a really so-called academic degree in his...
You sound like my mom.
Because you don't want the first act in the wedding. It's important.
Yes, yes. So I am doing a degree in correspondence from Madras University, a BA in English degree.
You have a question? Yeah, please. I'm timing it. Please go ahead. We can take at least 2 more questions. Please be ready. Yes, sir. I'll come to you after Geeta. Yeah.
I can sort of visualize you in your biopic. I think you mentioned The Alchemist and you also mentioned Bonzer. You know, I see a connect there where the alchemy, the magical process of transformation for you, the aha moment, happened at Bonzer when you're having breakfast there. So whenever you have your own company, would you consider having that place, a beautiful place in Dubai as your logo?
As my logo, that's a brilliant idea. If I have my own company.
That's now prophetic. That's prophetic. Okay. Very good, sir. We'll go to you. So after the biopic comes the company logo.
So that's the next episode of the
This question is for Shyam.
Yes.
Shyam, sorry to linger on the same topic that we were on. See, is it the whole idea, because somewhere you mentioned that you chose the wrong degree or the wrong institution. Is it about what you were pursuing, or because you see so much of energy in you, so much of directions in which the energy is? Is it something about getting institutionalized in terms of, you need to have a stamping saying that I am now a degree holder, I have mastered in this. Is it about the whole thought of getting into that kind of a trap, or is it about getting into, because there are so many options now where an education can parallelly run into whatever you need. So somewhere do we see that level in terms of what that whole stamping comes along with, or is it what you're studying? Because I think you're registered for hunting now.
Yes,
I want to understand a little bit more as to what is it that's...
Good question.
Yes, sir. So for the first 20 years of my life, I was always this person who wanted to please somebody. I would lie just to please somebody, just to be in the cool gang. There were times when, so in the north, I would speak only in Hindi because I didn't want my friends to call me a Madrasi. Then I came here and I was like, when I was in school in 5th standard, I was ashamed to speak in Tamil for some reason. I never told my classmates that I could speak Tamil. Once my mom was at school, she's like, hey Shyam, all my classmates are shocked. They're like, aren't you shocked? Tamil persona. So all that happened, and I just realized while doing engineering that throughout my life, I've desperately tried to fit in. I've just desperately tried to, please somebody. And I've never thought about myself at all because things have just happened. I've just gone with the flow. And for the first time, I felt like, this is not where I belong. For the first time, I believed that I did not have to fit in. That moment when I was performing on stage and I saw my parents laughing and clapping, that was one. And also, end of the day, you can say I want to be a rebel, but acceptance is a lot, especially from your family, especially from the people who matter to you. Acceptance means a lot to you. So that was one moment when I decided that I did not want to fit in. I wanted to be what I am.
I think it was a beautiful answer. Very good question and very good answer. I want to add here, I think it was Katharine Hepburn who said, the famous American actress, she said that work on pleasing yourself. That way at least one person in the world is pleased. And I think it holds very good. It holds very, very good. And we are talking about people from the space. So an actor said this. So very good. Next question, please. Who had the next question? Yes, sir.
Shyam, yes. Other than Robin Sharma, which are the others you got impressed or influenced with? Because it looks like you. How old are you?
I'm 22 now.
It looks like you have read a lot. So give us some names which, other than Robin Sharma.
So I didn't read a lot of books, but there were books that influenced me. But I was at that phase in life where everything was just inspiring me. When you're in love and you listen to songs, you feel that every song is just about your life. So I was going through that phase. I'd see anything and then just connect it to what I was going through. So Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist was one book. I've read The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, all the cliched bestseller books. And there was this book by Preeti Shenoy also, which I read. So couple of books. These were some books, and mostly whatever films I watched, whatever experiences I had, I was just connecting into that factor of saying that you finally discovered what you want to do in life. Just go for it.
So beautiful, beautiful. Shyam, I had a question for you, and this question also is for Freddy. Quick ones. Do you deal with any sense of insecurity at times, and how do you deal with it?
So from the outside it looks like, oh, this guy is like sorted, bro. He's he's there, he's being an RJ, he's going around the town. But I'm sitting there because also I'm the station writer for the radio station. I spend most of my time there, 8 hours, 9 hours, and I really miss the times when you are, I did not have to think about money. I did not have any responsibilities. I did not have people look at me and say, oh, he has to maintain some sort of this thing. Now responsibilities have slowly started coming in. So I miss being that carefree, and I also miss being on stage. There are times when I'm sitting there thinking, what am I doing? Like this is not why I dropped out of college. And I really miss doing theatre. From the time I started, I was doing a lot of theatre, and then this job happened. The frequency of getting on stage has gone down, so there is still that constant confusion going on, saying what really do you want to do?
I'll give you my take on that, but we'll hear Freddy's take on that before I do that.
Well, you remember the conversation we had when you called me for this, where I just said, really? I mean, me, I didn't think that, I still don't think that my story is necessarily so unique or interesting. I'm constantly questioning whether what I'm doing is right. Should I have taken that, gone for a full-time job and stayed with that company and had the provident fund? I'm always wondering that, whether I should have done that. So it's a constant thing that happens, and I have people in my life who prop me up and say, hey, you know what, it's okay. Nothing to feel bad about. We do the best that we can. And going back to what we said about academics. Yeah, academics, it's important to an extent, unfortunately, in our country, where there are many companies where they still look at what you've done, not who you are. And that was what was amazing about the kind of work that you guys did, and that's why I even joined your company, where you didn't care what we had on paper. You wanted to know who we were, and that's what's important. What's this person about? I mean, this guy 3 years ago, right? Like I said, all those jokes I were making was that we worked together. I was directing him in a play. He was new to the entire thing, so he would come late. He would not have learned his lines, and he was making a lot of mistakes in that.
I was really scared of Fred. Yeah. I could not, even message him saying, Fred, I will be late today. I used to call Nisha and say, Nisha, can you please tell Fred I'm stuck here. Just tell him I won't be able to make it.
But you've come such a long way in such a short time, comparatively. So that's my point. People change, and you have to judge people for who they are, not for what they were in college or what kind of degree they have. A degree, he'll have a PhD tomorrow, and I will be just a degree holder, which means he will get into a company at this level, I will get in at this level. That's it. After we get into the company, our degrees don't mean anything.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you both of you.
Add on something to that. So when I dropped out of college, there was this one thing that I've let everything go. I don't have any baggage or anything. I'm not trying to prove to anybody. I'm on this very personal journey of trying to do the things that I want to do in my life. So I was very uncomfortable. There were times when I didn't have enough money to fill petrol in my bike. I felt weird to ask my mom also, because I dropped out of college and I'm doing this out of my own will. So there were times like that, but I was so happy, I was so driven. I'd go back home, talk to myself in the mirror saying, you're going to do this. I had 1 hour conversations with myself, just motivating myself. And because you don't have money, you don't have anything that you need to protect, I was like, go for it, 1 year, just do all the things. that you've been scared of doing. And I realized that you got to be uncomfortable. You got to be in a place where something is driving you. You got to be in a place where you don't have anything to fuel all your energy, all your passion into that one single thing. That is my biggest insecurity right now, because I feel that after joining, having a job, I'm getting comfortable here, and I don't want to get comfortable because
you'll go a long way. You'll go an absolutely long way. I think the key to progress is restlessness and not get into the comfort zone. I think this is the value add I wanted to give you, but I think you added it yourself. Fantastic. Can we, for reasons of time, can we go very quickly with your quiz questions to the audience, and then I'll do a wrap, please. So you're pulling out a piece of paper? My God. Oh, you wrote down the question? Okay. Bad memory. Okay. So we go with your question first.
Okay. So because I'm from the radio industry, how many of you know Bollywood here?
Most people.
Bollywood. Okay. So you got to guess these personalities. So the person.
You have only one question.
Yeah, one question.
Yeah.
One question, but yeah. Okay. You have to guess this personality. So the person that I'm talking about was a radio jockey. There was this one incident where he had to interview a very famous actress, and when she came into the studio, he was one of the biggest fans of this actress. He refused to interview her because he was madly in love with her. And later on, they worked on a film together. They fell in love, got married, and they became a very famous Bollywood couple. You know the RJ that I thought. Sunil Dutt is the right answer.
Sunil Dutt?
Sunil Dutt.
Fantastic, Mr. Madhu. Me too. So two of them. Two of them. So it's a different generation. So obviously you have the right answer. We'll come to you. We'll come to you. Shyam, you give it to Mr. Raj. So Sunil Dutt and his wife. Right?
Yeah, and they fell in love during the filming of Mother India, where he saved her from the fire. Right. Very dramatic.
Beautiful question. Fantastic question. So, lovely question.
Very nice.
Thank you. Brings back so many memories. Yes, Fred, your question.
Yes. So, if you go back a few years to 2012, there's a pretty hit, famous song which I think people know in Chennai, Engeyum Eppodum, right? What is the significance of that song to Chennai?
Engeyum Eppodum from
I don't know the movie.
Engeyum Eppodum Sangeetham Sandosham. MS Viswanathan. Dinetale Nikkum.
So what is the significance of that song to Chennai?
There's this line where it says, Kale Japani coffee, and then it comes to Chennai.
No.
I think you can.
You can't answer.
Well, if no one gets it, you can try and answer.
Yeah, so nobody's got it. You need to go to the next. You need to answer and go to the next.
So apparently.
I don't know if this is true though. I've read this that the motto of Chennai Corporation is Engeyum Eppodum.
That's it.
Is it right?
It's the motto of the Chennai Corporation.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What premium, man? I can't believe it. You just blew my mind.
Okay, so I will try another one.
Your next one.
Okay, so in terms of size, what rank does the Government Museum Theatre at Egmore hold in India? In terms of size, what rank would it be in India?
Number one.
No.
No. Pardon me?
Second, I think.
You're right, it is second.
After you can come forward for
after the Indian Museum in Kolkata, that's number one. Ours is the second.
The Victoria Museum.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Oh, I'll take a picture.
Thank you. That was fantastic.
Chennai specific questions.
Fantastic. This has been an amazing evening. So the answer is Chennai Museum is number 2.
It's number 2 in India. Yeah.
It's been an amazing evening. I think we got a lot of questions, a lot of interaction. Before I do a wrap, I want to thank everyone for being here. Be there with us next week, next month, Saturday.
I'm so sorry. I want to interject. I want to just say one last thing. You've read books and stuff. I
was in college and it was a quote. Some guy named George Webster Douglas, and I say some guy because I have no idea who he is. but I think this quote has guided me in a lot of ways. And the quote was, "The main goal in life is to live fully and joyously, aware of all the possibilities life has to offer."
Beautiful, beautiful. I think you've done the rap for me today. You've done the rap for me today. It's a fantastic. That's exactly the point I was trying to make. Listening to both of them talk, that's what I'm picking up. I wrote this quote down from Mirza Ghalib, and I'll share it. ऐश कर दुनिया में गालिब, जिंदगानी फिर कहाँ, जब बुढ़ापा आ गया, तो फिर जवानी अब कहाँ. So live your life fully, because you never know how long this life is going to be. And when old age arrives, where is your young age? Where is your youth? Where is it gone? So don't squander your lifetime. That's basically the message, and I'm glad you said that in English and I said that in Hindi. So in Urdu rather. So fantastic. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Before we go away, please join Vani and me in giving away the trophy for the Bliss Catchers this evening. And Ashwin, please come forward. We also have a gifting partner today. As I told you, we have nice gifts for our Bliss Catchers, which are the Hazel journals. So they are the first set of Bliss Catchers to receive these journals. So Ashwin, please.
Thank you.
That's for Shyam. And Gokul, can you come forward for the... So this young gentleman over here is Gokul from Hazel Journals, and he will give away the hampers to our guests. Here, Gokul, for Fred.
Thank you. Thank you much.
So these journals are on display here, and you have the coupons in case you're planning to gift it to somebody. Use it, please. Buy the journals, and please buy a copy of my book and gift it to people. Fall Like a Rose Petal. I'm happy to plug it. Learning from my learned guru there, R.V. Rajan. Thank you, sir, for teaching me how to plug my book. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again. Awesome evening. Fantastic.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you. And see you all next month, 25th March, for the 25th edition of the Bliss Catchers. Thank you.